our students, and ladies and gentlemen, please welcome former Minister of Finance, Mr. Nizar Yaiche, expert in digital transformation, entrepreneurship, and high-impact innovation. Mr. Yaiche, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. What a wonderful journey, what a wonderful moments all together. Thank you very much, Jack, for being with us today and for this wonderful keynote, very inspirational keynote indeed. And thank you for our dear Tunisian students in this room and also following us live on the different channels. Actually, there are minimum 3 good reasons why today we are really happy and excited to be together. These are really special moments. The first one is definitely because of the presence of Jack today in Tunisia and with all the insights that he gave linked to HPCs, AI, etc. And that's definitely a great honor for us. The second is the topic itself. When we are in a historic moment here. We really live in a historic moment. Globally, AI changing the world, and I will come back to this point later, and HPCs and all the power and the intelligence behind it. So the topic itself is worth speaking about. But there is a third reason. And the third reason for me is the event itself. It's the organizing committee. It's Hatem, Bilal, and all these talents, and Ibtisam, and Rawi, and all the people, all these Tunisians who decided to share and give back. Talents from our diaspora, talents from inside Tunisia, who decided to share and give back, and that's a wonderful message to all of us. So thank you, team, for this. Your love to Tunisia is really contagious. Thank you. Now, allow me, so we are talking in a scientific discussion. And I would like to link to what Jack just shared with us, to AI, to Tunisia, to position it in the entire AI value chain, to have a better understanding potentially of some of the elements and concepts. And, but my first point is to you, Tunisian students, to you Tunisian doctors, professors, is that you really stand on a long scientific lineage. Science is in your DNA. Science is part of your history, and you should be extremely proud of that history and that DNA. And if you go back a little bit, a few thousand years earlier, and you speak about Carthage, and I'm sure, Jacques, you'll be visiting some of these sites, hopefully this afternoon. This is Carthage, and what you see here, and what I see here, it's much more than beauty. I see a lot of science here. I see architecture. I see urbanism. I see geometry. I see very sophisticated tools that help them to build this. I see astronomy. I see perfect alignment with the sun, etc., and we can go on and on. This is really creativity. This is innovation, and this is part of your roots. But this is not the only one. The next one is a picture of Zaytuna University, which is the oldest university in the world, and we claim that it is really definitely the oldest university here. And it helped a lot, and the DNA of Zaytuna was really to build and share. It was built and created by people who believed and people who wanted to share and give back. And they teach mathematics, they teach astronomy, they teach in so many different languages. They teach for Arabs, for Mediterranean, for Sub-Saharan Africans, people from Asia, etc., etc. And it's not by coincidence that we have it here. in Tunisia. And we have also another genius. This genius, Ibn Khaldun, who wrote Al-Muqaddimah along with so many other books. And he kind of formalized before his time what we call social development, HR development. He kind of thought about complex systems behind societies without having HPCs and GPUs. So this is really another genius, and it's part of our history in Tunisia. We have also more and more, we can speak about Santo Stein, who also influenced the 20 centuries ago, his work and his effort towards logic and towards the truth. And he inspired also the Western philosophy. Saint Augustine here also. So, and we can go on and on all these aspects. And I have the impression, and it's more than impression, that there is a convergence of lights here in this wonderful country. There is one, really, a big one. Lights coming from history, our history that I just shared with you, but also lights coming from the geography. We have very high density of sunshine in this country, and that's a scientific fact, and it's been strengthened by the reflection of the desert and the reflection of the Mediterranean, by the way. And there is another sunshine. There are other lights coming from the spirit and the minds of Tunisians who love sharing, They have hospitality, and if you have all these conversions of lights, you can only do better and much more. So today we are speaking about historic moment. And the entire world that we just saw is changing. AI is key. AI is fundamental, and allow me to share with you some numbers and some facts on how important AI to the world today. AI is roughly about $400 to $500 million market today as a standalone. But AI is doing much more than this. AI is changing all the different industries and sectors. Thanks to AI, we predict, and please keep these numbers between brackets because they are only trends and they will evolve over time. They will change in probably 6 months or 1 year down the road. But we are talking about 14 to 15 trillion US dollar of new revenues, new value creation globally in the upcoming 5 to 7 years. That's a huge number. And compare it to the 100 trillion US dollar GDP of the world, a little bit more currently. We are also talking about AI for security, for defense. AI multiplies by 5, 6, 7 the power of defense when we use AI. We saw it also for so many companies. They increase the level of productivity by 20, 40% of the big companies who embraced AI. And also, we are talking about the importance of data. Those who own data, as you know, data is the gold of this era, of this age. 90% of the data today was produced in the last 5 years, and 80% of the 90% is owned mainly by 9, 10 companies. Some of them were mentioned in Jack's presentation. So, but AI also is there to influence, and we need to be fully aware of that. Those who own algorithm, those who own data, also they have much more power to influence the rest of the world. So AI is definitely there, and the AI will change and is changing deeply the way we do business, the way we interact, the way we recruit, the way we create value, and somehow we are industrializing innovation and industrializing creativity, which is something completely new in humankind history. Now, I want you to probably to have a global picture or the big picture on where do we stand in terms of AI value chain. And I would like to link it to the Jack's presentation. Where do we stand on that? The reality, so most of course, the visible part of it is the LLMs and the ChatGPTs, et cetera, and the AI agents that we are using more and more. But reality is that the AI value chain is much, much more complex than this. And if you start from the very top of the table, when we speak about rare earth elements and critical minerals, where most of them are in China today and probably a couple of African countries like RDC, and then you go down in the table, you see the semiconductors, the lithography, which is a key element, the chip fabrication, the memory, the power electronics, the GPUs, etc., the AI clusters, and then you reach the data part of it, the data centers, the networking, the data generation, the data cleaning, etc., go down till the AI application. It's a very complex value chain, and it's evolving all the time. And each layer of this value chain has roughly a value of tens of billions of US dollars today till hundreds of billions. And each layer has an EBITDA margin of 30, 40, 50, 60%. And globally, we are speaking about an industry which has a CAGR, an average growth rate of 28 to 30% till 2030. These are very big numbers. These are very important numbers. And this is why, again, another message to you, to us, is that we need to heavily invest in this field and to be really present. This is clearly a historic moment. Now, my understanding of JAC's great added value to the globe, to the world, is that it has a direct, immediate impact on so many layers, layer 8, layer 9, layer 10, 13, and 17. Direct, immediate, big. But it's more than this, because also somehow, maybe in a smaller manner, but it still has also other implications and other added value to many other layers of the AI value chain. And this is why computing part and how to use maths and algorithm to improve all of these components has a direct visible/invisible impact to the great added value that AI is bringing to the world today. Along with other long list of risks, by the way. It's together. And these are some of the examples where definitely JAC's work and creativity added value to the AI value chain. Of course, there are other ways to describe the AI value chain, but this is one of them. Now, we are here also not only to exchange, but also to reflect and to do some projections going forward. And I would like to share with you probably 5 or 6 elements where we as Tunisians, taking into account our strength in maths, the diaspora, and other areas, taking into account some of the trends that we predict for AI, is to talk probably potentially some areas where we can add value to Tunisia, but also to the world. And also taking into account our constraints and limitations. And I will come back to this point later. Yes, we do have one. I don't want to make a speech where everything is good and idyllic, etc. We do have the limitations in GPUs, for example, right? Or in financing, etc. I'll come back to this point later. But first, let me share with you some elements on some of the key AI trends. And we need to be extremely humble here because things evolve every day. But there are a few elements and few ideas. I think it's very good to have them in mind. Some of them, by the way, already mentioned in your presentation, dear Jack. The frontiers models, first of all, so we are increasing the complexity and the number of parameters of each models, and we are moving to the Terran parameters, then thousands or billions of parameters and that's clearly, and that's huge. These are components which has huge implication on energy consumption. So you spoke about 300 megawatt, but we are moving also gradually to 500 megawatt, and now the new data centers, we are speaking about gigawatts, 1, 2, 5 gigawatts. But frontier models are there, and the complexity of these models and the number of parameters is increasing on a daily basis. We have also the full multimodality AIs. So you speak, you exchange, but not only with text alone or image alone or video alone, etc. So it's more and more combined all together. And that's also a confirmed trend. And of course, this will make a kind of the idea of universal assistance clearer and clearer in our day-to-day life. Third one is the real-time AI. You see some latency today, right? Machines take time to answer sometimes, especially for complex tasks. But the trend is clearly there, is that we are reducing significantly the latency, and we are moving more and more to this real time, and this will open up and create new opportunities in so many areas and fields. And we are moving more and more to what we call the natural human-like behavior, because latency is getting closer to human behavior. Edge AI, we definitely mentioned them. And we are also having more and more AIs, smaller AIs, less complex, less energy consuming, significantly less parameters, and situated at the edge and then of equipments, of sensors, etc. And they do not need necessarily connections or high bandwidth, etc., or real time. And that's also another trend. Autonomous AI agents, robotics plus AI, and we saw some examples. Probably you saw them already in the internet on how robots are looking more and more like humans and behaving more and more like humans, and they have more and more this AI power and the capability to interact with people. AI factories, higher scale, gigawatts, as I earlier mentioned. AI governance and safety. We see more and more regulation and more pressure on how to regulate all of this, because all of this has tremendous risks. And we need not only to focus on the added value and the amazing impact and positive impact of AI, but we need to be fully aware of the other side of the model. And the other side is definitely there are risks on governments, there are risks on administration, there are risks on businesses, there are risks on startups, there are risks on families, there are risks on students, there are risks on youth, mental health, and so on and so forth. And this is why regulation should be at the heart of what we are doing. So it's like a railway, right? But we need to be, of course, not limit innovation with regulation, but at the same time, the regulation to make sure that we master the risks coming with AI. AI plus HPC plus quantum computing, it's coming. It's a matter of years now, or even less than years. Quantum computing, it will move from this bit type of calculation to the probability of presence. So we are the quantum level, and I think this will add a tremendous capacity of calculation to the AI system. And then last but not least, the AI in so many different fields and areas, like AI in health, AI in education, AI in industry, Industry 4.0, etc., etc. So many things, and I'm sure there are even more, and every day we need to update this kind of content and slides so that we keep ourselves updated or up to date to the latest trends. Now, why I'm saying all of this, I would like to share with you some ideas that we Tunisians can work on. It's more than a dream. I think it's a kind of realistic dream, and there are potentially some ideas. And it's worth, I think, taking them by our professors and researchers and say, probably we can add value to the globe and to our dear country in some of these ideas, starting from what Jack just shared. So the first part or axe is the algorithm, the mathematical innovation. We do have some great people in maths in Tunisia. We have world-class mathematicians all over the world. And when I say world-class, they are really world-class. And I can start sharing with you some names. I'm sure I will forget so many. So, and the good idea here is that it has low cost and high impact research. This kind of research does not necessarily need huge amount of funding and financing, etc., etc., so that this area, I think it's worth looking at it for Tunisians with a closer lens. The GPUs, the AI systems, the compiler engineering, we do have also some great talents globally. We have in this room 2 of them. I know others. And this team, by the way, they are very humble, but they are managing one of the most and highly performing HPC in the world and in the region. And they are managing thousands of GPUs, this team, this Tunisian team. And I would love to see more people or more Tunisians in our diaspora really doing that effort so that they connect more and more with Tunisians here and they elaborate and make more research in this part, this area. HPC simulations for climate, water, energy. I think we are the country that can add value in this area. Sustainability in energy, especially solar energy, in climate change. We leave the impact and the impact of climate change here on a daily basis in Tunisia. We do have some competencies in this area. So why don't we also invest some time and energy and money on putting together these competencies, HPCs, AI, along with energy, climate, etc., so that we can produce something really of great added value to us and to the world. And it's, by the way, it's part of the SDGs defined by the United Nations, right? AI compiler runtime also is another area. And also the last one, which is the frugal AI or the HAI, or all these systems or equipments which are heavily needed when you operate under constraints. When you have a limitation of energy, when you have a limitation of funding, when you have a limitation of GPUs, then you need to reinvent. You need to rethink. You need to innovate under constraints. And I think for us, we live under these constraints. And for Africa, and for the rest of the world, in many parts of the world, this kind of innovation is deeply needed, especially in the upcoming period, upcoming years. Because yes, we do have constraints, and let's be extremely honest about it, right, in Tunisia. We have dreams, we have talents, we have energy, we have solar, etc., but we do have constraints. And I'm sure those who own the decision in this country, they are fully aware of that. But it's always good to share it and to say it in a very transparent way that we have the right action plan to address and to tackle all these issues and constraints that we have. Yes, we do have limitation in GPUs, right? We have a limited number of GPUs. Yes, we have insufficient funding and fragmented grants when it comes to research and development. That's a fact. We are not talking about billions or hundreds of billions of investment. We don't have that money, but we have some of it. We are suffering from a great brain drain that I hope that one day will transform this brain drain to brain network. And typically the spirit of this event is part of that brain connection between Tunisian diaspora and Tunisian talents. We do suffer from weak industry and university collaboration. Sometimes we have the impression that industry are working alone in a different world than universities, and we will gain a lot if we try to work closer together and try to understand each other and try to share the common objectives for the benefit of our dear country. And also, we do have, compared to others, limited exposure to these kind of global big scientific event. And this is why, again, this kind of scientific event with this kind of knowledge sharing and content is deeply needed for our country. So fully aware of that. And this is why when you interact under these constraints, we should transform these constraints to kind of catalysts or stimulation to our creativity. And we can do that. When you operate this while fixing, of course, all these constraints by those who own the solutions, we have to do that. Why? Because constraints force intellectual effort and elegance. When you operate under constraints, you can innovate and you can do more. When you operate under constraints, you look more for competitiveness. When you operate under constraints, you try to accelerate leverage and collaboration between other parties, etc., etc. So I encourage you to see all these constraints in a positive way, in a positive manner, while asking to fix them with very long-term solutions. Now, one concrete example of what was done here in this kind of collaboration is a project called the Ilm project. This is typically a project. This is a digital library launched by Tunisian, thanks to collaboration by Tunisian diaspora and the Ministry of Higher Education. It's live, it's up and running now. It's a digital library enhanced by artificial intelligence, a sovereign artificial intelligence, fully hosted here in Central Khawarizmi in Tunisia, under the supervision of the Ministry of Higher Education. The capacity of Ilm platform is 1 million users and 1 million books, courses, research papers, and so on and so forth. So very well dimensioned, everything in 3 languages, English, Arabic, and French. And it's also fully under the control of the Tunisian professors, because whenever the student is asking a question, the answer, if it's wrong, can be adjusted and corrected by a Tunisian professor. And that's very powerful. And all of this is for free. The content is for free, and even the access is for free. Meaning, if you don't have money on your telephone, you still have access as long as you have coverage, of course, on your cell phone. And that's a great gift. And this is up and running. Today we have only 1,000 books and, on it, but hopefully tomorrow, on the upcoming months, we'll have thousands or millions, why not, millions of content behind it. Now, I would like to summarize what I said, to open the door for debate with Jack and potentially some questions. But I think we said it's a historic moment. We said talent is our gold, is our real asset. And building that idea of talent republic, I think that's our path. We don't have many minerals. We don't have a lot of oil. But we do have people, and this intelligence, whether they are inside or the 1.8 million Tunisians living abroad, out of which 1.3 million are highly educated, that's gold. And this is why we need to continue working together, all together as Tunisians, to build this idea of talent republic, while sticking to our values, to our history, to our DNA, to this innovation coming from Carthage and coming from Saint Augustin, coming from Zaytuna, and coming from Ibn Khaldun, and many others that I didn't mention in this presentation. And if you have to keep only one key message out of these few moments or minutes that I shared with you, is that really, at the end of the day, these are historic moments, and Tunisia needs you to stay very close to your roots and DNA and continue sharing and giving back. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nizar Yaiche, for this inspiring keynote. I like this one, the Talent Republic.